Kirkcudbright is a wonderful old town with a long history, and it's still lively today. We are all so lucky that so much of old Kirkcudbright remains in the form of buildings, mainly from the 18th and 19th centuries, with a few items even older than that. A great way to get an overview of all this history is to go on a walking tour of some of the historical parts of the town. Kirkcudbright History Society organises these in the summer and has a team of highly trained guides keen to get across a lot of knowledge in the 90 minutes duration of the walk. And it's free. But you do have to book. So keep watching this video to find out how to do that. Here's a flavour of what you'll see if you do. The meeting place for the start of the walks is the Tourist Information Office in the Harbour Square. This is where you'll meet your guide and get an introduction to the town's history. The Harbour Square wasn't always a car park, and its story is closely bound up with that of the harbour itself, the town's trade, cargoes and fishing. Next, there's a short climb up steps to Moat Brae. There is another way up if you're a wheelchair user. Things have been happening here for about 1,000 years. The Lords of Galloway were involved, as were various denominations of churchmen, kings of Scotland and England, and of course the great and the good of the town. It's a great place from which to view the harbour, the bridge, St Cuthbert Street, one of the new streets of the town, new in inverted commas. From the west end of Moat Brae there's a close view of MacLellan's Castle. Now there's a great tale to be told of how it came to be built, the MacLellans themselves, how the family came to prominence and how it then lost its fortune. We can also see the Harbour Gallery and hear how it came to be a gallery. And next door are the Madras cottages. Why Madras? Well, you can find out. Further west is the beginning of the High Street and one of what used to be one of just two entrances into the town, the Watergate. It stands beside the old fish house and what were grain warehouses. You can look down the street to the old custom house and the toll booth, both of which were important if you were a mariner arriving at the Watergate. To get to either of these buildings, you have to pass between fine 18th century buildings such as Blair House and Broughton House and number 14 High Street. Both Broughton House and number 14 High Street have associations with famous artists. Castledyke's Walk leads to the town marina and beyond to the archaeological remains of the 13th century royal castle. The Customs House has associations with efforts to suppress the one-time burgeoning smuggling trade. These efforts brought the bard Robert Burns to the town in the late 18th century. Greengate was the home of the 20th century artists Jessie M. King and Ernest A. Taylor, her husband. Both made a great contribution to the artistic and social lives of the town. 2 doors along is what used to be the principal inn of the town, with the best wine cellar, and which was graced by the presence of Robert Burns. In the early 20th century, it became the home of another well-known and socially minded artist. This toll booth, not the first in the town, dates from the 17th century and served to house the administrative and legal functions of the town. In front was where the weekly market was held, a precious prerogative of a royal borough. Here also was a place of punishment, from ritual humiliation through imprisonment to execution. It's also a place for the thirsts of man and beast to be slaked, and from here you can just catch a glimpse of the town's academy. Nearby, down the high street, are 2 buildings that stand out as very different from the other buildings in the street. What can they be? Well, you know how to find out. A little further on is the junction with Castle Street, another of the new streets of the town. Continuing past the marks in the street, what on earth can they represent? And Bank House, the fine Georgian building with, of all things, a cannon. We can see the Selkirk Arms Hotel. It has been an inn since the late 18th century. Have you heard of the Selkirk Grace? What relationship does it have to this hotel and Robert Burns? Turning the corner into St Mary Street, another new town street. We're close to the Stewartry Museum. There's lots to see with special exhibitions on most of the year. Continuing along St Mary's Street are the parish church, dating from 1838, and the former town hall, which is now Kirkcudbright Galleries. Passing the church, we're in Soapery Gardens. This is now a park, but it was not always so. There are 2 monuments here to 2 different Earls of Selkirk. What do you think they did to merit these memorials? Our tour finally crosses St Cuthbert Street and back to our starting point. The tours run on Tuesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. from mid-July to mid-August. They start at the information office in the Harbour Square and they last approximately an hour and a half. The tour is free, but for safety reasons, you'll have to book your place in advance online at the address shown on the screen. You can also get more details at the information office. Kirkcudbright History Society also organises a kirkyard tour of historic St Cuthbert Cemetery in Kirkcudbright. The tour lasts approximately 1 hour and runs on certain Wednesday afternoons and certain Wednesday evenings in July and August. Details can be found on the Kirkcudbright History Society website on screen now, or check with the information office. I hope this introduction has whetted your appetite to learn a bit more about Kirkcudbright. If so, book up, walk the walk, and enjoy the tour.